This kid at school thought wizards were a joke. That's mostly because the world was just too peaceful. Other students called him weak since he had no mana. Kusanagi didn't even recognize this kid. The angry bully then attacked with a spell right in the classroom, which was forbidden because it was incredibly dangerous. Everyone feared the worst had happened, but Minato just pretended that nothing was wrong. He wanted to show everyone how to deal with annoying people. But the teacher saved the bully's skin, coming to check on all the noise from earlier. Minato brushed it off and just went home. The next day, the school held a test to measure the magical power of all the students using a special machine. Minato didn't want anyone to discover the truth about his hidden abilities. Mizuha wondered aloud if Kusanagi was scared. That loser boy talking to the school's most popular girl definitely drew some stares. The arrogant girl just wanted to make fun of him, but Kusanagi wasn't the same person anymore. No one at the school had a clue, but a week ago, Kusanagi fell into a coma after a car accident. Hours later, he woke up in the hospital, and his body was totally healed. What nobody knew was that the person inside Kusanaga's body wasn't him anymore, but the greatest wizard to ever live, who had died 50 years ago, Ichami Minato. He had been reincarnated into the body of his very own descendant. Back in the present, the girl found it odd that he wasn't the least bit intimidated by her. Mizuha talking to another boy made the hot-headed kid furious. He was still mad about how Kusanagi had acted the day before. The girl was also talking to Minato to find out if what happened yesterday was just a fluke. The teacher finally announced the test. The first up was the boy who used fire magic. He put his hand on the machine, and his magic was pretty strong, scoring 1,000 points. Now it was the turn of the class's top talent, Yuika Mizuha. She used water magic and placed her hand on the machine, which read 2,000 magic power points. The boy, Tadano, said the strongest should team up, but the girl just ignored him completely. This record was so high that nobody else could get anywhere close. She was convinced that Kusanagi would finally understand the power gap between them. Minato Kusanagi walked up to the machine, thinking he'd better hold back so they wouldn't find out about his powers. He released just a tiny fraction of his magic. The energy that shot out wasn't from a single element, it was all of them combined. Kusanagi suddenly got curious about his own limits and decided to show his best. His energy immediately got everyone's attention. It was just too intense. His mana literally exploded into the sky. Students from the more advanced classes felt this power. Even from far away, the brilliant energy overloaded the machine, causing it to explode. This was the second day in a row that Kusanagi had been caught in an explosion. The girls squeezed their eyes shut, not wanting to be blinded by the light. Pieces of the machine were about to fly toward the girls. But Kusanagi was well aware of his actions and saved them before they even knew they were in danger. The truth is, people couldn't actually feel his magic power, they could only see the lights. Not even the teacher was able to sense it. After making sure the girls were safe, he asked Kusanagi if he knew why the machine had exploded. His final conclusion was that it was probably a malfunction, so he would get a 0 on the test. The test was used to split up the training groups. Tadano is the strongest guy, so it's smart to pair him with the kid who got the worst grade on the last test. Tadano was fine with it, telling Kusanagi that he was looking forward to the practical class. The students arrive at Old Shibuya, where the teacher explains that there are still a few monsters living inside the city, which was destroyed by the Great Calamity. Magicians and police regularly come to this abandoned city to fight off the monsters still living here. The academy's students are also required to help out with this for some reason. The teacher tells them not to worry. Since most monsters have already been handled by the pro-magicians and police, our boy wasn't expecting an actual practical class. He hopes the students can handle a few monsters since they are working in groups. He recalls coming here last night, but feels uneasy as he senses several monsters nearby. He distinctly remembers cleaning the place out properly yesterday. He doesn't find any signs of trouble nearby and questions why more monsters are showing up in old Shibuya. He hears a few girls talking about competing with each other. Even for a practical class, our boy is surprised the students are acting so relaxed. Mizuha, meanwhile, carefully observes Kusanagi for some reason. The teacher starts the practical class, hoping everyone works well together. Sure enough, Tadano spots our protagonist and calls out to him. He and his group approach our boy and tell him to stay put and out of their way. Tadano makes it clear he won't go easy this time if Kusanagi messes up like before. The protagonist doesn't get why they just don't ignore him if they despise him so much. Tadano gets furious and orders him not to talk back. He then questions why Mizuha still talks to Kusanagi when he's nothing but trash. Our boy is shocked to hear this, realizing Tadano has feelings for Mizuha. This just makes Tadano enraged. The protagonist notices something just as the bullies try to attack him with their magic, but he warns them to stop. Tadano makes it clear an apology won't save him this time. Kusanagi tells him to look behind them, but Tadano assumes he's playing some stupid trick to save his own skin. Tadano looks back, and the whole group of bullies sees a tall monster standing right behind them. They all start sweating, questioning why a demon soldier is in this abandoned city. The other bullies try to hype Tadano up, sure he can defeat it. He tells them he'll win, but the anxious expression on his face says otherwise. He moves forward and blasts it with his fire magic, causing a massive explosion as it strikes the monster. Tadano and his friends are relieved, but as the smoke clears, the monster is standing there completely unharmed. Tadano sees not one scratch on it and is terrified. Our hero reveals that his pathetic level 1 magic won't even tickle a demon soldier. As the monster stalks toward them, the entire group is petrified. They all fall to their knees and start trembling. Tadano's eyes fill with tears as he wonders if his life ends right here. He even pisses his pants in fear, but just as he's about to be killed, the demon soldier senses our hero's power. It looks scared and actually takes a step back. Kusanagi steps forward, surprised the monster could tell which one of them was truly the strongest. He faces the demon soldier alone and unleashes his power. The monster also goes all out, summoning multiple magic circles. Tadano and his group are sure the protagonist can't defeat it. They accept their fate. The monster unleashes a level 2 spell called Rock Break. A massive boulder hurtles toward our boy, but he just smiles, unfazed. He casts a level 1 spell, Fire Arrow, and launches it right at the demon soldier. His tiny fire arrow shatters the monster's giant rock. It strikes the demon soldier too, causing a massive explosion. Tadano and his partners open their eyes, shocked to see the monster dead. Tadano demands to know what's happening, wondering if Kusanagi is behind this. He refuses to believe it's possible for someone as weak as Kusanagi. But our hero simply says that in his hands. Even level 1 magic is more than enough to crush a demon soldier. He finds it odd to see these monsters in Shibuya, especially since he just cleared this entire area of monsters yesterday. He wonders if it's a bad omen, a warning before a much bigger disaster. He asks if he should really be taking this situation seriously. Suddenly, flashbacks hit him of the destruction he witnessed in his past life. He was forced to watch countless people, including his loved ones, die right before his eyes. He grows sad for a moment, then clenches his fist, determined to save humanity, even if that catastrophe happens all over again. The other bullies saw Kusanagi defeat the demon soldier too. They can't believe it's him. Tadano gets frustrated and slams his fist against the wall. He's furious and just can't understand what's going on. Meanwhile, Mizuha watches from a distance, completely surprised by this new side of Kusanagi. Mizuha casts a level 1 spell called Aqua Saucer, easily defeating a weak monster. Her classmates are amazed and start showering her with praise. She's irritated, wondering why normal people get impressed so easily. She just chalks it up to her being a genius. Then she spots Tadano's group and tells her team to handle the rest. She thinks Tadano might be bullying the protagonist again and gets excited. She rushes over, not wanting to miss the show, and peeks around a wall. Mizuha is shocked when she sees the demon soldier. She doubts they can even fight a monster like that. But despite her fear, she decides to help them since she is from the Mizuha family. She's confident she can do something. Mizuha dashes toward the group, yelling for everyone to run. Suddenly, a huge wave of fire magic erupts past her, hitting the demon soldier. Kusanagi takes the monster down in a single blow. Mizuha is in shock and wonders if our boy was behind it. She remembers Kusanagi as a shy kid with trash deer magic powers. The girl can't believe she's looking at the same person. She was watching closely and didn't hear him chant anything. Mizuha can't understand how he could possibly defeat a demon soldier with level 1 magic without a single spell. It's just too much for her to process. She knows that every demon's strength is determined by the number of crystals on its body. This method is even used to establish a ranking system among demons. At rank 6, demon soldiers land at rank 5, demon captains come in at rank 4. Demon generals hold the 3rd rank, while the demon king himself is rank 2. And finally, the strongest of all, the demon god, is rank 1. These ranks are set in stone for every demon. So every modern magician knows it takes at least level 3 magic to defeat a demon soldier. She doesn't believe level 1 magic is anywhere near enough. Just then, Kusanagi starts walking toward her. Realizing there's no reason to hide, she peeks out again to get a look at our protagonist. He immediately calls her out for sneaking around like that. She becomes totally embarrassed, asking how he even knew. Our hero thinks it'd be pretty stupid not to notice, especially a mage. Mizuha is completely confused. He's disappointed to see they really can't sense magic at all. The boy just turns and walks away. She tries to stop him, but he ignores her and keeps on moving. Mizuha demands an explanation and runs after him, only to find the alley completely empty. Kusanagi leaps onto a rooftop, irritated as he watches the girl search for him. He decides to scan the area for monsters. And he quickly learns there are no demon soldiers left around, but the number of magical beasts is still very high. And after seeing Tadano's pathetic performance against that one demon soldier, he doubts any of the other students are capable of handling these magical beasts. Our hero decides he'll just get rid of a few. His body suddenly starts glowing as he activates his magic. His range can easily cover the area around the abandoned city. So he summons 2 magic circles and unleashes his level 2 magic called Barret. Multiple beams of light shoot up into the sky, spreading out across Shibuya. Tadano and his group spot the light show, thinking they're just seeing shooting stars. But Mizuha recognizes it as magic and wonders who could unleash so many abilities at once. Somewhere in Shibuya, 2 other students are completely surrounded by magical beasts. They're losing hope as they see more and more monsters closing in on them. They both give up, accepting their fate. But as a monster lunges to kill the girl, it freezes in its tracks and starts screaming in pain, pierced by a powerful beam of light. The students ask each other if they're all right. Our protagonist watches it all from above. He feels amazing taking out all the monsters, watching them all drop dead. Then he realizes he overdid it, killing nearly every single monster in Shibuya. Kusanagi gets worried, wondering if the class can even happen now. He regrets not holding back a little. He uses his magic circles to zip around the city and finds a hidden alley to land in. He doesn't want to hide his powers, but all the attention is just annoying. He heads back to his classmates and teachers. A teacher is checking a magical beast's corpse and wonders why there are so many. He thought most of them had already been hunted. He figures a very skilled person just killed them, since taking out a monster in a single strike isn't easy at all. Then he remembers the magic that killed the monsters. Firing so many magic bullets like that falls under the null attribute. Astonished, he admits he's never seen anything like it before. He also knows things would have gotten out of hand without those magic bullets. Firing even two is an impressive feat. The teacher is in disbelief, realizing that if the number of shots was 6 or more, no average student could ever use such magic. The students are furious, asking why they had to fight so many monsters and nearly lose their lives. The teacher bows and apologizes, then recalls asking the police, who confirmed most monsters had already been wiped out. He regrets not double-checking with the school and genuinely apologizes for putting the entire class in danger. A girl then asks if someone came to save them. The teacher admits he has no idea, but adds that it wasn't police or an official mage, but probably some unregistered magician. He thanks the unknown savior in his heart. Our hero just smiles, listening to the teacher indirectly praising him. He then notices a few students talking about his magic bullets, all wondering what they could be. Kusanagi is relieved everyone is safe, even his bullies. Tadano, however, just grits his teeth. His whole group of bullies is staring at our protagonist. Mizuho remembers seeing Kusanagi beat a demon. Soldier alone, using level 1 magic followed by some kind of endless attack. She wonders if Kusanagi was behind both events. Fire and null are different attributes, and she doubts any student has both, not even Kusanagi. She calms down, thinking it's impossible for him to have two attributes, assuming someone else is behind the null magic. Still, she can't figure out how Kusanagi defeated that demon soldier on his own. Tadano's group suggests he's behind the laser beams too. Tadano calls it impossible, but his friend reminds him that Kusanagi also defeated the demon soldier. Tadano gets furious and warns his friend to shut up or die. His friends look terrified. Tadano makes it crystal clear he'll never believe a loser like Kusanagi is capable of that. He thinks Kusanagi is hiding something. His cronies agree, remembering what a coward Kusanagi usually is. Tadano screams in rage, vowing he'll prove Kusanagi is cheating. He's determined to back Kusanagi into a corner and force him to reveal his true identity. After school, Kusanagi walks out, only to be surrounded by a huge gang. It's the bullies. Tadano steps forward, saying he's been waiting patiently. Our hero is just irritated, telling them to put that persistence into learning magic instead. Tadano says he has no right to talk since he's a cheater. Kusanagi is confused by the accusation, but Tadano insists he's hiding some cheap tricks. Tired of all their nonsense, Kusanagi realizes there's no point in arguing with them. Tadano orders him to follow, praising him for not trying to run. Kusanagi clarifies there's no reason to. Tadano doesn't believe him and just throws a punch, knowing Kusanagi can't use magic in a public park. The punch lands on his face, but he doesn't even flinch. The bullies all jump him, but he just patiently stands there and doesn't fight back. Tadano taunts him, asking what's wrong. He assumes he can't do anything without magic and keeps punching him. He screams that he'll kill Kusanagi even if he begs. Our protagonist is just disappointed. Their punches don't even leave a scratch. His magic automatically defends him from any physical attack. Annoyed, he decides to act hurt just to humor Tadano. Suddenly, someone appears behind them and asks why they're attacking Kusanagi. Tadano spins around and sees Mizuha. The bully is immediately embarrassed and tries to play it off, telling Mizuha they're just messing around. She doesn't buy it for a second and calls him out for bullying Kusanagi. Is disappointed in her classmates and wonders if they have any shame. Tadano feels awkward, but he just decides to blame Kusanagi instead. He's convinced Mizuha hates him now, and it's all Kusanaga's fault. She grabs our hero's hand, trying to drag him away from the drama. But Tadano sees her grab Kusanaga's hand and just snaps with jealousy. He stops holding back. His patience completely gone and throws a magic attack right at our hero. Kusanagi is annoyed. Tadano prepares to end his life, and his goons activate their magic as well. Mizuha demands to know why they're acting like this. The whole group hurls a fire attack at the protagonist. Mizuha knows it's dangerous and rushes to save Kusanagi, but she doesn't make it in time. He takes every attack head-on. Tadano laughs, confident that no cheap trick can help Kusanagi survive all that power. His cronies get worried, wondering if he's actually dead. Tadano calls them idiots for worrying. He starts making up a story that they were just using magic outside school and things got out of control. Kusanagi just got caught in the crossfire, and that's how he supposedly got hurt. His lackeys think they've gone too far. As the smoke clears, Kusanagi speaks. He says he was trying to be patient, since they're nothing more than brats, but their stupidity needs a proper punishment. So now he's getting ready to teach them a lesson. Tadano is shocked to see him alive after they hit him with such powerful magic spells. Kusanagi gets serious and says they made a big mistake dragging Mizuha into their fight. He wonders how rotten they truly are. Tadano just screams, blaming both of them for everything. He shouts they'll regret making a fool of him. And then he pulls out another magic circle, declaring they'll keep attacking until Kusanagi is finally dead. Our hero summons a tiny magic circle. The bullies just laugh, calling it pathetic. They assume he's bluffing, so all of them attack at once with everything they've got, hoping to finally kill him. The protagonist activates Magic Drain. Strange green tentacles erupt from the circle, grabbing the entire gang. They're all terrified and struggle to break free, but they fail completely. Their energy is drained away, and the bullies start to pass out. Tadano and his goons fall still. Kusanagi is disappointed. He thought they would have lasted a little longer. He hopes the bullies reflect on this and get their act together. Mizuha becomes so confused. She wonders if she even saw magic. She's surprised to see the whole gang knocked out cold, but has no idea how it all happened. Kusanagi gets up to leave, but Mizuha stops him, asking what just happened. She asks about the magic, remembering he couldn't even manage a weak spell just days ago. "Who are you?" she asks, but the protagonist gets annoyed by her questions. He tells her to focus on something else, instead of asking so many odd questions. Mizuha blushes. She shows her gratitude and thanks him for saving her life. The girl then asks him to answer her questions, but when she looks up, he's gone. She's embarrassed and wonders why he left her again. That night, Kusanagi enters old Shibuya again, using magic circles to get around. He has a bad feeling. During the daytime, so he decides to come over and check things out. He discovers more monsters in the area, even though he killed them all earlier. He's starting to think this might be some kind of bad omen. He's confident he can handle things alone if the monsters only show up in old Shibuya, but he can sense more of them appearing in other places. This is way too much for the police, and there are hardly any good magicians. He doubts he can defeat monsters all across the country by himself. Not knowing what to do, he decides to make a plan. He figures he should start by wiping out all the monsters in old Shibuya. While trying to avoid drawing any attention, he uses his magic bullets again. A drunk guy wanders into a dangerous area without even realizing it. A monster appears behind him, but our protagonist takes it out instantly. The guy notices him, but just blames it on his imagination and stumbles away. Our boy really hopes the guy didn't actually see him. He uses his magic circle to jump out, but someone catches him. The guy is stunned and knows his video is definitely going to go viral. He doesn't waste a second and posts it online. The next day, Tadano, Kusanagi, and Mizuha are called in by the principal. The class teacher says he was told some students used magic off school grounds. He makes it clear that any student caught will be expelled immediately. He gives them a chance to explain what happened. Tadano points to our hero. He blames everything on him, claiming our boy was the one looking for a fight. Kusanagi is amazed by how easily Tadano lies and realizes he has no choice. He has to speak up and defend himself, even though it's really annoying. Just as he's about to say something, Mizuha speaks up for him. She tells the principal they are all spitting lies, and Kusanagi was being bullied. It was Tadano and his friends who fired magic attacks at him in the first place. The teacher listens carefully and realizes our boy used magic, too. She calls it self-defense, thinking it's not his fault since he had no choice. Kusanagi is surprised by her. Tadano tries to claim they're innocent. But Mizuha shuts him up and calls him out for his actions. She calls him a terrible person for bullying Kusanagi, then blaming everything on him. She can't understand how he isn't completely ashamed of himself. Tadano calls the protagonist trash and says he doesn't deserve to be there. He justifies his actions by saying he was just trying to clean up the trash. Mizuha makes it clear that he's the real trash and not worthy of the academy. Tadano, still arrogant, says he's at the top of the class and is the only one. He's the only one worthy of standing beside her. Kusanagi doesn't deserve it. She has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Tadano warns her not to cover for Kusanagi and advises her to become his woman. She's completely disgusted and says there's no chance she would ever choose trash like him. Tadano is shocked by the rejection. She rejects him for being violent. She calls him stupid for confessing to her in such a weird situation. Our boy understands why she did that, but thinks she might have overdone it a bit. Tadano falls unconscious after hearing the rejection, since he and his friends were wrong, just defending himself from their magic attacks. The principal makes it clear he doesn't want students who selfishly use magic to hurt others. He expels Tadano and his crew. Tadano's lackeys try to defend themselves, saying they were only doing what Tadano told them to do. The principal allows Kusanagi and Mizuha to head back to their classes. They both leave the office. Mizuha gets angry, calling Tadano the absolute worst guy ever. Kusanagi asks what will happen now that they're expelled. She explains they have no chance of ever becoming magicians, which is pretty obvious. She doesn't get why Kusanagi didn't speak up for himself. He says he was about to, but she didn't give him the chance. Suddenly, he remembers something. She asks what's wrong. Kusanagi says he was thinking about all the times she tried to help him, first, back in class during the fight, and now with the principal. He calls her a good girl for always helping him out. She starts blushing like crazy and gets all embarrassed. Mizuha tells him to shut up and runs to the classroom so she can get there first. Kusanagi smiles as he watches her go. He thinks the old Kusanagi died and he was reincarnated into this body. Our boy wonders if he was bullied to death or if it was really just a car accident. He still doesn't know the truth, but he's relieved the bullies got punished for whatever they did. He hopes this settles things and cracks a smile. The principal informs 2 senior students about what just happened, saying a few students got into a fight and used magic in public. He assures them no one was hurt. The senior student asks why she was called if there's no longer an issue. The principal tells her one of the students involved was none other than Yuka Mizuha. The blue-haired student understands and thanks the principal for the heads-up. He asks her to send his regards to her father. She tells him not to worry and reveals that her family is interested in investing in the school. She walks out with her friend, and the principal wonders if Kusanagi is absurdly strong, since fighting multiple mages at once is nearly impossible. There's just no way a normal student could win unless he's hiding some kind of incredible power. He asks if Kusanagi is stronger than them, but the blue-haired girl says no. He's curious about the boy and tells her he wants to meet him to confirm it. She considers whether her little sister should be expelled, depending on just how competent Kusanagi really is. This is Mizuha Ruka, a third year, and her friend is Katsuragi Ryuji, also in his third year. Meanwhile, Kusanagi feels a bit unmotivated now that his life is peaceful again. He hears a few classmates talking about someone called the Black Mage and wonders if it's related to the magic nobles he'd heard about. He decides not to worry about it for now. The teacher appears and calls Kusanagi outside for the assessment test. He explains that any students who couldn't be measured last time now have a chance to take the test again. Mizuha says what's happening and is glad she can finally learn more about our hero. Suddenly, she notices her older sister, Ruka Mizuha, and Katsuragi walking in. She wonders why her sister showed up out of nowhere. The teacher announces it's Kusanaga's turn, asking him to begin the magic power assessment test. Our boy, he remembers shattering the machine last time, so he decides to be more careful and hold back. He starts pouring out his magic power, but suddenly feels strange. A wave of fatigue hits him, and he starts breathing heavily. The teacher asks if he's all right, then looks at the machine to check the results. Mizuha and the teacher are stunned to see that for some reason. His attribute is none, and his magic power is only 100, which brings a smile to Katsuraga's face. Two students start gossiping about Kusanagi, calling it the lowest power level in their class and labeling him useless since he doesn't even have an attribute. Katsuragi figures there's no truth to the story they heard from the principal and doubts our hero could have defeated all those delinquents. Ruka, disappointed, decides to leave since they have no reason to stay. The other students notice Kusanagi looks tired just from the assessment. And they figure it makes sense since his magic power is so incredibly low. The teacher tries comforting Kusanagi, telling him that magic power isn't the most important thing. Mizuha, however, doesn't believe what she's seeing. She remembers our boy took down that demon soldier all by himself and knows he can use two attributes, fire and null, at the very same time. She wonders what kind of trick he's pulling, as she's never heard of mages hiding their true magic power. Our protagonist, however, is relieved and actually happy with the result. He used some kind of magic manipulation to alter the reading, even though it's clearly taking a toll on his body. He feels confident, thinking he's finally getting the hang of this skill. As he leaves, our boy finds Mizuha and learns she was watching the assessment out of simple curiosity. Suddenly, Ruka stops both of them right there in the school hallway. Kusanagi asks who they are, and she introduces herself and her companion, Katsuragi. He recognizes her family name and asks if she wants something. She says she has zero interest in him and walks directly toward her little sister. Mizuha looks worried, and Ruka is clearly disappointed in her. She couldn't even win against a couple of delinquents. She also hears Mizuha was saved by someone with 100 magic power and asks if this is all true. Mizuha confirms it, which makes her sister furious. She orders Mizuha to quit the academy. Mizuha is confused, asking why she's saying this out of nowhere. Ruka reminds her that she's never won a single match whenever they fight. Whether it's grades, sports, or magic craft, she loses every single time. Ruka doesn't think Mizuha has what it takes to become a mage. She believes it's time for Mizuha to quit the academy and just go to a normal school instead. Mizuha starts to cry but can't find the words to respond. Her sister asks if she understands, and Mizuha anxiously says that she does. Kusanagi finally intervenes, calling Ruka arrogant. She asks him to repeat that. He does with a cold expression. He points out how she's been talking nonsense this entire time, not even bothering to listen to what her little sister has to say. To him, it's obvious that she's just filled with arrogance. She makes it clear this is a family matter, so he has no right to interfere. He's surprised she'd even call this a conversation, when from his perspective, all he hears is her ordering her little sister around without giving her a chance to speak. Chance to speak. She gets furious, but our boy holds his ground, believing that she has no right to steer someone away from their chosen path. He calls her out, telling her she's horrible for trying to make her little sister give up on her dreams. Ruka just scoffs, saying her incompetent sister lacks the talent to be a mage since she can't even beat her. Mizuha starts crying, actually agreeing with her older sister. She's lost all belief in herself, thinking she's been lying to herself this whole time. She tried to convince herself she was a genius with real talent, but she couldn't even beat her big sister a single time. Kusanagi calmly says she can win against Ruka. He starts smiling, which confuses everyone. Ruka asks if he's challenging her, and he requests some time, since it's impossible for Mizuha to win right now. Ruka gives them 2 weeks, suggesting a 2-on-2 magic duel. He's surprised but agrees, calling the idea nonsense. He asks Mizuha if she's willing to do it with a smile, and seeing his confidence, she finally calms down. The crying stops, Mizuha looks determined and agrees to the challenge. With that settled, Kusanagi says if they win, this matter is never brought up again. Ruka counters that her sister must leave the academy if she and Kusanagi lose the fight. She warns them, making it clear she won't be planning to hold back. So they need to prepare themselves and face reality. After a bit, Mizuha and Kusanagi meet on the rooftop. She asks for his help, hoping he can teach her magic so she can improve and fast. He finally gets why she called him up there. He asks if she's really sure about learning magic from a trashy guy like him, whose magic power is only 100. She doesn't buy it for a second and knows he's hiding his real strength. In fact, she believes he's much stronger than her. He can see she isn't backing down this time. She assumes he knows a way to get stronger, which is why he challenged her sister to a fight. Now he knows Ruka is the type to desperately try and control everything. It's just her nature. That's why he provoked her into fighting him. But there's no way he can tell Mizuha that. She bows down and starts begging him for his help. He finally caves and agrees to help her get stronger. She asks again just to confirm it. He warns her up front, making it clear that she must follow all his instructions. And there's no turning back once the training starts. She agrees to all his conditions in a heartbeat. Kusanagi finds it hard to say no when she's pleading like this. And besides, he already needs to prepare for a few things after seeing all the monsters back in Shibuya, so raising another mage seems like a good idea. He decides to start her training today and wonders where they can practice. Mizuha starts blushing and shyly invites him over to her place. A little while later, they arrive at her home. He's shocked by the enormous house. But she says it's only natural, since her father is a noble mage. Mizuha suddenly realizes this is the first time she's ever invited a boy over. She starts to wonder if he found her invitation weird, even though she has no hidden intentions whatsoever. Kusanagi says they should get started. But he can see she's daydreaming, so he calls out to her, using her first name, Yuika. The girl gets flustered hearing her first name. But he says he's just trying to avoid confusion, since her sister, also named Mizuha, seems a little disappointed by his answer. He asks if there's a different name she'd prefer, but she shakes her head. She just agrees with Yuka, so he decides to begin the training, asking her to bear with him. His first question is a simple one: what exactly is magic power? She scoffs, saying it's just the energy you need to perform magic. And it exists inside every single person's body. He then asks about incantations. Eureka confidently explains it's like a program that automatically creates the spell. He then asks if it's possible for someone to increase their magical power. But she says no, believing that it's all determined the moment you're born. She adds that it stops increasing after a certain age. Yuka smiles, feeling proud. She thinks she's answered everything perfectly, then he lets her know the truth. Every single one of her answers was wrong. Her expression crumples. With tears in her eyes, she asks if he's trying to call her stupid. Our protagonist genuinely feels bad, but wonders just how foolish modern mages are. He's shocked that so much has changed in only 50 years, so he starts to explain. He clarifies that magic power isn't just inside a person's body, it is also found everywhere. It's available all around them in nature. As for incantations or spells, there's simply a method to properly support the actual magic craft, and yes, it is possible. To increase your magic power on purpose, she finds his words hard to believe. She calls him a liar, saying it goes against everything the academy teaches. It would overturn the entire Magic Craft Academy if it was true, but he doesn't care. Whether she believes his words or not, he plans to teach her all three of these things. During their training, he tells her to sit down, explaining what he's about to do. He's going to channel his magic power into her, and she must tell him when she feels it. She's stunned to learn that it's even possible to sense magic at all. He's blunt about it. If she can't learn to feel it, she'll never get any stronger. He orders her to close her eyes, and as he touches her back, he unleashes his power. He sends out his magic, but realizes she still can't feel a thing, so he lets out more. He wonders how she can't feel this much power, but then, finally, Eureka flinches. She feels something, saying her back is suddenly getting very hot. He begins his lesson. He tells her this is called magic power perception. It finally clicks for her. Now she understands what he was trying to explain earlier. He tells her to remember this feeling, since feeling it yourself is the first step to detecting magic power from other sources. He explains that it's also all around them in nature, so finding it is her first task. She has to get used to feeling that magic power. She just smiles confidently. She assures him she'll master it in no time, since she's a noble daughter of the great. Mizuha family, our hero has his doubts, though, especially since she struggled so much. She couldn't even sense it when he poured a massive amount of magic into her back. He starts to accept that maybe she just isn't suited to be a mage. A week goes by, and Yuka is in tears, telling him that she's still completely unable to sense magic. She's a huge disappointment, and our protagonist can't help but feel let down. He's surprised that a full week wasn't enough for her to learn something so simple. Especially since she practiced so hard, he figures she must just be really slow at understanding the concept, but they're running out of time, so he makes a decision. He decides to pour a little more magic into her. He touches her on the back and begins. As he unleashes his magic, he tells Yuka to open her eyes. She hesitantly opens them and is stunned to find she can finally see the magical aura surrounding her body. She starts smiling, finally able to understand what magic power really is. Yuka is amazed by this new ability. Since she can now see magic power, she decides to try measuring Kusanaga's power level. But for some reason, she can barely sense anything from him, which just leaves her confused. He praises her for her hard work, but she calls it natural since she's a genius. Now that she can use magic perception, he informs her they'll be working on adjusting her magic power next. He explains the entire process of using the right amount of magic power for any given spell. She has to focus only on efficiency and forget everything else. She also has to use all her magic power to its absolute limit, so the total amount she can wield increases once she recovers. He believes she can easily follow all his instructions now that she can perceive magic so clearly. He is aware that what he's teaching her is completely different from the Magic Academy basics, but he doesn't care if she believes him or not. Yuka assures him. She does believe him, smiling as she says she no longer doubts him. He is happy to see her change of heart and decides to begin the next stage of their training. Our hero asks her to step back a little and get ready because they're about to fight. She confirms she doesn't mind, as she is eager to see his true power. Yuka uses a first-level aqua sorcery spell and throws multiple water attacks. But our boy blocks all of them without effort, which completely surprises the girl. She can't understand how he blocked them. He used a simple level 1 barrier with non-attribute magic. He makes it clear that if she can't destroy a barrier that week, there's no hope she'll ever win against her sister. Becoming desperate, she starts launching ice bullets. He explains she must keep moving even while she's attacking, because stopping her movement is a sure way to lose if she's facing a competent mage. Frustrated, she throws more attacks, but eventually gets exhausted and gives up. He tells her it's wrong to use so much magic power with no efficiency. If she can learn to adjust the power she puts behind a spell, she'll eventually be able to cast attacks without any incantations. Kusanagi tells her to watch closely as he demonstrates his magic. He throws a fire blast at a dummy twice, showing her how he uses his magic. She realizes the power behind her own attacks is nothing compared to his. He confirms she's right, explaining she won't even need incantations to perform magic if she learns how to properly adjust her power. She finally understands there's no real reason to chant while casting a spell. He confirms it and explains her first step will be to learn how to shorten her incantations somehow. Once she masters adjusting her magic, she'll have no reason to use incantations at all. He believes it will be a huge help if she can shorten her chants, so she won't have to waste any effort or magical energy on the words. This way, her spellcasting will definitely become stronger. He orders her to get up and fight him again. She thinks it's much too soon, but he coldly calls it meaningless otherwise, and with a blank look orders her to train. Like her very life depends on it, she's so terrified by this she just collapses. He asks if she's all right, then makes it clear this is going to be their daily routine. From this point on, but he notices his words aren't even registering. Later that night, our hero makes his way into Harajuku. He recently sensed a few monsters in this area and came to investigate. But even though he's constantly trying to eliminate them all, for some reason, the monster count never seems to go down. Suddenly, he spots someone being attacked by a magical beast. Without a second thought, he rushes straight toward the kid. He manages to get there just in time and effortlessly takes down the monster in an instant. He asks the little kid if she's hurt. But instead of thanking him, she just starts taking pictures of him. He quickly leaves the scene, wondering why she didn't show any gratitude and started snapping photos. He thinks there's definitely something off with people these days. He decides to cover his face properly next time before taking off. The following day, our protagonist is back to training Yuka again. She falls down pretty fast and gets tired. The day of their duel is approaching. He believes her progress isn't bad, but she's still leagues behind Ruka in basically every single category. There's no way she can win if she keeps up this pace until the duel. He reassures her that it's fine if she wants to quit now. But she gets up and tells him she's been compared to her sister for her entire life. She has been forced to give up countless times now since she has never once beaten her sister. But she's determined to continue with magic craft and vows to never give up. He makes it clear she'll never succeed this way, but she just asks him to be even stricter instead. He agrees to her request and decides not to hold back. She's thrilled to hear this and gets ready to fight. They both continue to train with each other, and he teaches the girl a lot. As the sun begins to set, Yuka passes out from the extreme training session, and Kusanagi ends up having to carry her back. After a couple more days of this training, he finally tells Yuka that she's ready to fight her sister. She drops to the ground in total relief. Kusanagi praises her for all her hard work and effort. A smile spreads across her face as she hears his words. On the day of their challenge, our boy asks her if she's ready. She gives a confident yes, and as they're about to enter the academy, they spot a massive crowd of people. A few news reporters swarm them, confirming if she's really Mizuha from the noble family. They ask for a comment about the upcoming magic duel and question if she's really having a fight with her sister. Kusanagi looks confused. She explains that her family is huge, so when she fights her sister, it's normal for the press to act like this. He's shocked that people care so much about two students fighting. He can only guess it's because the Mizuha family is just that important. They all arrive at the training ground, which is surrounded by a huge crowd. He thinks this is a bit much, but she explains it's pretty rare for students to have duels, so it feels more like an event than a simple challenge. He's a bit surprised to learn all of this. They are both then called to the stage. Yuka gets ready, but suddenly her entire body starts shaking. He reassures her and tells her to just focus on all her hard work. She calms down and smiles. She looks determined, walking straight for the stage without hesitation. He calls our boy a mysterious person, admitting his words had really gotten through to her. Yuka and Ruka are finally face to face. Ruka is shocked to see her younger sister didn't just run away. Yuka confidently confirms it. Ruka calls her rude for thinking she could actually defeat her own older sister. But Yuka makes it clear that she absolutely plans on succeeding. Ruka decides to give her a chance, thinking she's definitely changed a lot in the last 2 weeks. Yuka knows her older sister is strong. She realizes the difference in their magic power is massive, but she has faith in herself and knows she will absolutely win. The start of the duel is announced, and both participants are given the signal to begin. Yuka wastes no time and pulls out her magic circle. She tries shortening her chant as well. Ruka begins her attack. Kusanagi watches the match. Understanding that moving around while casting magic spells is a fundamental part of battle. He figures Ruka knows the basics of a fight between two mages, at least. In comparison, Yuka got so nervous she completely forgot the basics and didn't move at all during the battle. She no longer has an advantage, even with her reduced chanting time. Ruka and Yuka attack each other using first-level water magic. Yuka is able to stand her ground against her older sister's attack. She's surprised by her own capabilities and realizes she has gotten stronger. Ruka admits that she has improved her strength in just 2 weeks. Yuka is happy to hear her older sister praising her. But Ruka brings her down, telling her to stop giggling since it was just a comparison, not real praise. Ruka then increases the level of her magic and launches a stronger attack this time. She uses a second-level water blitz. Yuka is unable to handle it. She gets knocked down, falling right beside the protagonist. He looks at her, knowing she's gotten good at chanting now, which raised her odds of winning. But her older sister is just too powerful for her. Ruka calls him cruel for not even helping her up, even though he was protecting her earlier. He just tells her there's no need to help. Ruka has no idea what he's talking about. Then suddenly, Yuka actually gets up, shocking her sister. Ruka can't understand how she's still standing even after being hit by a level 2 blitz. Yuka makes it clear that she is definitely going to win this match. Yuka has nothing else besides magic craft going on in her life. Even if she loses everything, magic craft is the one thing she is never going to give up on. Yuka begins attacking again. Ruka starts attacking as well. She tries her best to stand against her older sister, determined not to give up. But she falls down after overusing her magic power. The announcer tells everyone that contestant Yuka has used up all her magic power. Therefore, Ruka is the victor of this contest. Yuka tries to get up so she can do something to win, but fails. Kusanagi calls this a battle of magic usage based on magical adjustment. He believes his friend lost because of the sheer amount of magic power. Ruka asks if he gets it now. She calls her little sister talentless and says our boy probably thought about this as well. He confirms she's completely talentless and extremely clumsy. She made such slow progress, and she is unable to perform properly when she's in a real fight. But he tells Ruka she's a genuine hard worker, one who persistently practices daily like a fool. Ruka is still let down by the results. But he tells her he admires hardworking people who don't quit, just like her. The girl starts sobbing at his words. He tells everyone Eureka is his disciple and that he won't stand for anyone talking down to her so casually. Eureka breaks down crying. Ruka calls him arrogant, wondering why he's talking so big for someone with 100 magic power. He makes it clear for her. He's going to defeat her with his 100 magic power. She thinks he's just good at talking, but decides to agree. Ruka then tells him his opponent is someone else, and Katsuragi appears, excited that it's finally his turn. Ruka tells him to end it quickly, and he assures her she doesn't need to say it twice. Katsuragi carries Yuika off stage, telling her to rest up and watch carefully. Closely during the battle so she can learn a thing or two. She understands his words, suddenly realizing the pain in her body is gone and there are no wounds on her arms at all. As he steps onto the stage, our hero admits he can't win with just 100 magic power, despite what he said earlier. He knows he'll need 100% focus to pull this off. The protagonist decides to keep his magic power at 100, using a non-attribute attack with no incantations. He's not putting up a magic barrier this time, so a direct hit could kill him. He feels a rush, calling the whole situation thrilling. Katsuragi gets ready, apologizing because he doesn't plan on holding back. Our boy lets him know he's the one who should really hold back. The crowd roars for Katsuragi, hoping he doesn't go all out, or the challenger could get seriously hurt. The guy ignores their words and unleashes his 8,000 magic power. Our hero takes note and knows it's not a huge deal, but since he's sticking to 100 magic power, there's a very real chance he could actually die. The second match begins. As they face off, Katsuragi hopes our boy won't hold a grudge when it's all over. While summoning magic circles for his upcoming attack, he thinks this is a good test to see if Kusanagi really beat those delinquents. He dares Kusanagi to withstand his full power attack. But just as he's about to launch it, something smacks him right on the forehead. The protagonist is just disappointed, calling the guy way too slow. The crowd is shocked to see it end so fast. The announcer declares contestant Kusanagi the winner. Ruka is shocked to see her friend knocked out cold with a single hit. She remembers he didn't even use any chance and wonders what kind of trick he pulled. Kusanagi asks if she's happy the match ended so quickly, just like she wanted. She just gets irritated hearing his words. Yor is also in shock, finding it hard to believe he actually defeated the guy. Ruka admits that he's strong, and he replies that he's actually stronger than her, too. She warns him to stop talking nonsense. Ruka unleashes her 10,000 magic power. Kusanagi senses it with his magic perception, realizing she's even stronger than the guy he just fought. The announcer tells the crowd something unexpected is happening. Since Kusanagi is using a different way of fighting, drawing a lot of attention. The next match will decide who the true victor is. The third match begins. Kusanagi uses the same trick again, shooting magic bullets her way, which she easily counters with water magic. The problem: our hero only has 100 magic power, meaning it won't be enough to hurt Ruka unless the spell bullet hits her forehead. He realizes she's already caught on, protecting her forehead and standing firm while casting her magic. Ruka persists, throwing water attacks. But even after all that, she's stunned to see the protagonist is still on his feet. Unfazed, she knows he isn't using any magic, but wonders how he's completely unharmed. The audience is just as confused, wondering how he isn't even wet after taking multiple hits. Yuka is also unsure what kind of technique he's using to defend himself. Knowing he definitely did something, Ruka attacks again, but this time, he dodges her magic with unbelievable speed. And then it hits her. She gets how he's still standing, but she's left speechless. Yuka realizes that one magic attack can be deflected by another magic attack. And even with a huge gap in power, there's still a way to avoid the damage. Everybody knows that's the only way to not get hurt. Ruka grits her teeth in frustration. Knowing her level 2 techniques have different speeds and mass, which should make it almost impossible for anyone to remain completely unscathed. She wonders why the protagonist is standing there so fearlessly against such powerful spells. Kusanagi knows she's probably thinking all of this. He thinks dodging magic is simple if you can sense and detect them clearly, but it takes some serious courage. Ruka gets serious and uses a level 3 spell called Azura Splash. The audience immediately grows concerned, knowing it would be disastrous if Kusanagi actually gets hit. Ruka is tired, but she's confident Kusanagi can't dodge this one. But out of nowhere, she's hit by a magic bullet and collapses to the ground. She has no idea how he is still standing. She asks him how he managed to dodge her attacks. He explains that he used a magic draining technique that basically eats away at magic craft. He simply walked right through the center of it using drain. Ruka is speechless, then starts laughing and admits her defeat. The announcer then declares Kusanagi Minato has won the match. Yuka rushes onto the stage, asking if they're both fine. Our boy tells her they're fine, smiling as he says that he won. She smiles back, absolutely beaming with happiness. Ruka decides to honor her promise and gives them her word, letting them do whatever they please. Kusanagi is just happy that it ended well. He remembers that Yuka's earlier wounds weren't that deep. He figures Ruka was probably holding back during their fight. Ruka gets all embarrassed and tries to make an excuse. He points out how much stronger Yuka has gotten in just 2 weeks. He's sure Ruka noticed it too, and thinks there's no longer any reason for her to be so overprotective anymore. Yuka speaks up with determination, assuring them both she's going to get stronger so her sister won't have to worry about her. Ruka smiles, finally starting to actually believe in her little sister. Kusanagi is happy seeing the two sisters finally getting along. But suddenly he feels this immense pressure and realizes that this is some abnormal magic. The sky turns blood red, and the protagonist wonders if the calamity is happening again. Elsewhere, Tadano and his gang are searching through Kusanaga's bag. They've lost many followers since he proved his power in that duel. His lackey tells him there are only textbooks inside his bag. Tadano just calls our boy diligent and gets frustrated. He's sure Kusanagi is hiding something. Otherwise, it's just impossible for a loser like him to use those powerful spells. One of the lackeys looks out the window and freaks out. Tadano wonders if he saw something and moves closer. They all spot the red sky and wonder what's happening to the world. One guy thinks it's the calamity, but Tadano doesn't believe it's the real calamity. Meanwhile, at the training grounds, our boy becomes worried as he stares at the red sky. He wonders why he's sensing such strong, unusual magic coming from nowhere. He immediately guesses it's the calamity. Everyone gets worried and the audience starts to panic. They all question what's going on. One of them doesn't believe the calamity is actually happening right here. Kusanagi gets scared, not understanding why a calamity would happen so suddenly. He wonders if it's connected to what he sensed in Shinjuku. He recalls the first calamity happened in Shinjuku as well. Our hero doesn't know if it's just a coincidence or if there's something more to it. Then portals rip open and magical beasts start swarming out. The students are terrified and start screaming. But the teacher orders them to calm down and starts leading everyone to safety. Kusanagi wastes no time and shoots multiple magic bullets, killing the monsters. He then uses magic to make an announcement. Our boy tells everyone to remain calm. He explains that only weak monsters will appear at first, since it's just the beginning of the calamity, so there's no need to worry. He assures them it will be fine as long as they use their heads and follow his directions. He instructs them to run towards the gymnasium and to stick together since it's dangerous to move alone. He also tells Ruka and the others to evacuate. The teacher then asks what he's planning to do. Our hero explains he wants to save the people who are still inside the school building. The teacher warns that it's not safe to go in all by himself, calling the boy reckless. He tries to stop him, but Katsuragi agrees to go with our protagonist so he won't have to handle everything alone. The teacher is worried, but Katsuragi reminds him of what Kusanagi can do. He has no choice but to give them permission. The teacher advises them not to force anything and to stay safe. Katsuragi is confident he won't die, but he tries to confirm it with our hero. Kusanagi just shrugs it off and tells Yuika he's about to leave. She looks at him with concern and tells him to be safe. Suddenly, Katsuragi takes off running, telling his junior that he's going on ahead. His incredible speed lets him cover 100 meters in only 10 seconds. He asks the protagonist if he can keep up. Kusanagi summons his magic circles and starts moving forward with incredible speed, shocking his senior. He makes it clear that he'll be the one going first. Katsuragi admits his speed is crazy, but that speed alone is ultimately useless. So he decides to watch our protagonist closely to see what kind of power he's really hiding. He'll save everyone while learning more about Kusanagi. Our hero detects 58 magic users inside the school with his perception skill. He assumes there might also be students with no magical ability. If he's right about that, he decides to search the entire school and rescue any students. Just then, a group of students gets attacked. He enters the classroom through the window just in time, using his magic bullets to take out all the monsters. With no effort at all, the girls are completely stunned. Just then, a monster tries to sneak up on our hero from behind, but he takes it down without even flinching. Katsuragi runs up, asking if he's all right. Kusanagi just hopes he can get everyone out safely and just takes off. Katsuragi yells for him to wait, saying it's too dangerous to go alone, but fails. The protagonist is simply too quick to follow. Katsuragi figures he was just getting in the way and admits he's not much help anyway. He still can't believe the kid managed to defeat a magical beast so effortlessly. Katsuragi just wonders who this guy really is. Meanwhile, Kusanagi dashes through the halls, searching for any remaining students. Even though he could wipe out all the monsters at once with his powerful magic bullets, he has to take them out one by one inside the school. And there is a risk he might accidentally hit a student in the crossfire. He has no other choice but to hunt the monsters down himself, using low-level magic so he does not harm any students nearby. He bursts into a classroom and defeats even more magical beasts, saving the students who were just barely hanging on. After he finishes them all off, the students thank him profusely. But Hayes, already aware he doesn't have time to personally escort everyone out, and rushes towards the gymnasium. Elsewhere, Katsuragi is busy saving a few students, assuring them he'll deal with the monster while they escape. One of the students just points up at the sky. He asks what is wrong, and suddenly he sees it. Students are slowly floating down, each one inside a bubble. He wonders what on earth the protagonist is doing and questions who he really is. Our boy sent the students over to Katsuragi in magic bubbles because he trusts the guy to look after them, so it should be fine. He suddenly senses something else. A female student starts trembling in fear as she gets cornered by a massive monster. She starts crying and screams as loud as she can for help. Then a huge magic bullet instantly destroys the beast. She recognizes it, the same magic she saw when she was saved the first time. Kusanagi appears and asks if she's injured. She finally realizes he's the one who saved her both times. Kusanagi confirms that she is right. She then asks if he was the one who saved her during that practice class. The girl now believes this is his second time coming to her rescue. Our hero confirms that what she's saying really did happen. The girl just starts crying with relief, so glad to finally have the chance to properly thank him. She thanks him again for saving her life twice. He just brushes it off like it was nothing special. She's left completely speechless. Katsuragi finally catches up, totally out of breath. He asks who he needs to save next. Kusanagi tells the girl to follow him and stay with him because he is going to leave. She tries to stop him, but he just ignores her and goes. She gets a little worried, while Katsuragi just wonders what has his attention. Our boy knows there are still plenty of people inside the building that need saving. So he can't afford to just sit around and wait for the police. He knows he has to hurry and save everyone as quickly as possible. At the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister gets word that the Kamui Magic Academy is under attack by the calamity. His staff is confused as to why this is happening again. Everyone knows the last calamity was 50 years ago, and there has not been another incident since then. They demand a plan from the Prime Minister, thinking their country might be cursed. He informs them the Beast Countermeasure Division has been alerted. The police department and the magic nobles are all being contacted too. The GSDF has also begun preparing for this calamity. But his men remind him they only have self-defense forces who specialize in handling disasters, not real mages who can actually stand their ground against monsters. He snaps back that he already knows all this. This was to be expected, since people have been living an easy and peaceful life, safe from these calamities for a while. They spent almost all their military budget on national defense and international affairs. So they have no other choice but to leave the beasts and demons to the police and noble mages. He's frustrated, realizing the same disaster from 50 years ago is happening all over again. But this time, they don't have Ichami Minato on their side. Elsewhere, a girl asks her partner if the calamity is really happening again. He confirms it without a doubt. He believes this is definitely the calamity. She gets worried and anxious. Even though they've been safe for the past 50 years, she's shocked to find out the peace was only temporary. The guy tells her not to worry. It's their job, after all. He is Shido Shugo from the Metropolitan Police Department. The girl gets fired up, determined to do her best, too. She's Sergeant Sonata Karen from the police department. News reporters arrive at the Magic Academy by helicopter. One starts broadcasting live, informing the audience that the calamity is centered on the Magic Academy. He tells everyone about the situation, sharing that monsters are just constantly pouring out and the sky has turned a deep blood red. Another reporter reveals that the magical beasts just started appearing out of thin air. So all the students are currently taking shelter inside the gymnasium. A teacher guides the students, thinking it won't be that hard to protect them since they are only up against magical beasts. They should be able to beat the monsters with proper teamwork. The world watches the news. Some kids see it and suddenly realize the academy is way too close to their home. They both decide to run for it immediately. Outside, people start to panic. They're panicking and running for their lives. Two men watch everything from a distance, realizing things look absolutely horrible. The audience watching the news is getting worried. Our hero sees the massive number of monsters. He knows the second stage is about to begin. And now even stronger monsters are going to show up. As they progress through the stage, things are going to get even tougher. There's no point in defeating them, as the beasts will appear non-stop. As long as he doesn't take down the boss monster, these magical beasts will keep on coming. He knows the boss will only reveal itself during the final stage. So he needs to keep his cool until then. He starts getting irritated, but continues to save more people. He rescues 20 people, using his magic bubbles again to let them float to safety. He has trouble finding the students, since they've been scattered everywhere. He decides to move on to the next area. Next stage. Somewhere inside a random classroom, Tadano is just spamming his fire magic, but gives up when he realizes his attacks are doing absolutely nothing. They have zero effect, and now he's out of magic power. Just as a demon soldier stands over them, the whole gang starts sobbing, wondering how they got so unlucky for a second time. Tadano's cronies remind him they warned him this would happen. The bully gets frustrated, remembering our boy can defeat a monster in just a single hit. He doesn't get why he can't do the same. Then the protagonist shows up and tells him it's because he's weak trash. Tadano opens his eyes and sees a magic attack effortlessly wipe out the demon soldier. He's totally confused, but then sees Kusanagi entering the classroom. Our boy turns to leave. Tadano frustratingly admits it happened again. He ended up getting saved by Kusanagi a second time. He tells our hero to stop and asks why he saved him again, even though he's so annoying and always acts like a complete piece of trash. The protagonist says there isn't a real reason for it. He just decided to save them because he had the power to do it. Tadano gets even more confused by his words. The bully starts feeling inferior and tries to insult the protagonist. He calls him a wimp who can't even use his magic right. Tadano can't understand how he got so powerful all of a sudden. Kusanagi reveals his secret, explaining that the real Kusanagi actually died in a car accident. He was simply reborn. Tadano doesn't get the logic and questions how someone could get even stronger at death's door. He expected to become a great mage himself, but he lost to a nobody like Kusanagi. Our boy calls him weak trash. Since strong people don't oppress the weak, and even the weak don't oppress people who are weaker than they are. He points out Tadano's flaws and says he's just trash consumed by a sense of superiority that was enough to fool him into thinking he was actually special. Kusanagi makes it perfectly clear that a weakling like him can't even imagine facing our boy in a real fight right now and winning. Tadano finally accepts it and falls to his knees. He admits he was trying to run from the reality that his powers haven't really grown since junior high. So he tried taking out all his frustration on people who were weaker than him. But in the end, someone like Kusanagi, who was supposed to be a total weakling, he just couldn't accept the truth. He admits in front of his lackeys that Kusanagi saved all of them, and the bully just starts crying his eyes out. Meanwhile, the protagonist is clearing out monsters in the classroom. A demon soldier enters the building to take him down. He fires his magic bullet, but the powerful monster easily dodges it. So our hero has no choice but to unleash his devastating fire magic. He defeats it effortlessly, but realizes the demon soldiers are increasing in number, which means it's possible the boss monster might show up soon too. He assures the terrified students not to worry because he has already taken care of everything. Somewhere else, Katsuragi gets angry and questions why our hero is pushing so much work onto him. He uses his own fire magic to finish off a few magical beasts while protecting the students. He tells a female student to stop worrying and just follow him, as he would protect everyone with everything he has. The students calm down after hearing his words and start cheering for him. He looks at the army of beasts and wonders how he's supposed to protect the students from all of this. Kusanagi pops up out of nowhere offering to help. But Katsuragi begs him not to appear like that again since he scared the guy. Our hero instructs him to leave the area as soon as he takes care of all the monsters, but Katsuragi is worried. He believes taking on such a huge army of monsters is nearly impossible, so it's better if they just find a different route. The protagonist uses his non-attribute magic and wipes out all the monsters, including the demon soldiers, instantly and with almost no effort. Everyone is just speechless. But he reminds Katsuragi to guide the students out of this chaos and get moving. Katsuragi gets the message and orders everyone to follow him. The students watch the magic bullets as they escape. Katsuragi gives an anxious smile as he realizes just how powerful the protagonist really is. Once they all leave, our hero decides to head back into the school and search for any more students who are still in danger. Somewhere else, a teacher is motivating her students to keep going and not give up so they can continue to push the monsters back. Yuka starts feeling tired, but Ruka appears from behind, advising her to just go inside and rest, since she'll just be a burden if she can't fight. Yua assures her she'll keep fighting with all she's got, as they have no time to rest. Katsuragi finally makes it to the gymnasium with the rescued students. The teacher praises him and orders him to lead everyone inside. Katsuragi asks about the situation. Ruka disappointedly tells him that they are barely holding their ground. Yuika worriedly asks about Kusanagi, but the guy reassures her our hero is still alive and well. She becomes relieved and starts to smile. Katsuragi admits Kusanagi is incredible and holds immense strength. He believes they might actually overcome this disaster with him by their side. Yuika agrees with him, thinking the exact same thing. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake. All the students are terrified, and the teacher quickly yells for everyone to evacuate. A huge army of powerful monsters appears from the smoke. Katsuragi notices the demon soldiers among them as well. He knows there is no chance they can do anything. The army of beasts is just too huge, so they have to escape quickly. The powerful monsters of the second stage start giving chase to the students. Yuka tries to run to safety, but is almost eaten by a magical beast. But someone kills the monster, saving Yuka. It's the police department. Shido quickly orders his men to eliminate the beasts, and the police do everything they can to protect the civilians. The students breathe a sigh of relief seeing the police, thinking they are finally safe. Shido assures them not to worry anymore. Since the police are here, he orders them to follow instructions and carefully evacuate the school. But Yuka steps forward, telling him about the students. Shido repeats his words, but Yuka clarifies that they are not civilians. Ruka joins her, adding that they are mages. Shido understands and immediately requests backup. He orders them to start attacking from the rear. He admits they're short on numbers, so they really need the mages' help. He's frustrated, wishing the police weren't so useless. Sonata uses her healing magic to help the injured students. The protagonist sees the police have finally arrived and decides to make his exit. Everything to them, he's actually shocked the police showed up before the self-defense troops. It's unbelievable the country has no real plans or precautions for a national-level disaster. He thinks this is a needed lesson for people who take peace for granted. But he decides to keep moving forward to help save the students still inside. The news reporter announces that the police have arrived. But the creatures are multiplying faster than ever. She wonders if the police can even handle this, and hopes the mage nobles will show up to sort out the situation. A few students watching the news get excited, wanting to see the nobles in action. An elderly couple gripes that they've paid their taxes, so the mage nobles should handle this. The reporter prays they arrive soon. Inside a mansion, a noble tells his butler to just ignore the calamity. This is Fukujin, the head of the Fuku household, a mage noble. The butler asks again to be sure, and Fuku insists it's just a small-scale disaster. He says the police can handle it. The butler asks where Fuku is going, and the noble says he's just going to sleep. The butler wishes him a good night. Back at the school, Shido realizes the situation is spiraling out of control. He asks one of his men if they can handle the magical beasts at the entrance. But it's a no, there are just too many of them. Shido sees the horde of beasts growing and wonders if they can save the civilians in time. The self-defense troops were supposed to handle the rear, but they still haven't shown up. There's no choice but to contact the mage nobles, but something's wrong. He can't get through to them. This is supposed to be their job, yet they're completely useless. As the students help the police fight the monsters, Shido recalls everything he's learned about these calamities. He wonders if people 50 years ago dealt with them the same way. He's just praying the boss doesn't show up. Suddenly, the number of monsters skyrockets, and a massive purple beam of light fills the area. A demon captain appears, throwing everyone into a panic. Shido can't believe his eyes. It's a demon captain, their boss. Ruka remembers that demon captains are a rare beast that hardly ever appears in this era. Only mage nobles can defeat one. Yuka realizes they need magic stronger than level 5, and she starts to panic. Panic, crying because no one there can use such high-level magic. The demon captain unleashes its power, summoning multiple magic circles. Yuka freezes in terror. Ruka jumps in, using all her might to deflect the attack, but her power just isn't enough. She throws herself in front of Yuka, shielding her. The demon captain's attack slams into her, but she succeeds in protecting Yuka. The younger sister watches in horror as her sister gets hurt. The other students flee, but Yuka stays behind, desperately trying to save Ruka. Shido and his men are completely powerless against the beasts, screaming for help. Katsuragi gives it everything he's got, but the demon captain doesn't even flinch. The police admit they can't save anyone and just give up, accepting their fate. Yuka keeps screaming for help, calling the protagonist's name. As the demon captain looms closer, a voice cuts in, voicing their irritation. Finally, the protagonist arrives, apologizing for being late. He feels guilty for making the girl wait. Eureka tells him about her sister with a worried look, but he tells her not to worry, she's only passed out. Out, he quickly heals her wounds, gritting his teeth in frustration as he sees the destruction the monsters have caused. He tells the girl not to worry because he's about to clean up this entire mess. And she completely trusts him. Suddenly, dozens of magic circles light up, and all the wounded students begin to get healed. Yuka sees her sister's wounds disappearing, leaving her completely astonished. As the injured students get back on their feet, Sonata spots the magic while she's healing people. She's stunned this is third-level holy magic, and she admits even she can't use it. Who could possibly be behind this? Sonata finds her senior and asks if he's all right. He assures her he's not injured, he's just completely out of magic power. She demands to know what's happening, but Shido doesn't get it either. He just thinks they need to focus on protecting the civilians. Sonata breaks down in tears, trying to stop him, telling him it's too reckless. But he's determined to fight. He knows if he backs down now, everyone is going to die. Sonata grabs him again, pleading that there's simply no way for them to win because all their support is already dead. She points out that the police force has been completely wiped out. And since the defense troops and magic nobles still haven't shown up, he has to face it. There's nothing left they can do. As the demon captain advances, the news reporter gets confirmation that the entire police force is gone. Her hope shatters and she's sure they're all about to die. Students watching the broadcast curse the nobles for being totally useless, praying they don't die. The public is glued to the news, realizing that there is no one left to defeat the demon captain. That's when our hero approaches the demon captain, all on his own. Sonata spots him and wonders if he has some kind of a death wish. Shido shouts a warning, but our boy completely ignores them. Kusanagi is here to stop this monster from running wild. The demon captain, however, roars, expressing its pure desire to kill and destroy. Everyone is absolutely terrified, with a few students nearly wetting themselves. Both Shido and Sonata are unable to move, paralyzed by the sheer pressure and fear. But our hero, he's completely unfazed. He launches an attack, telling the monster to shut its mouth for good. The demon captain just starts screaming in pure rage, and all the other monsters follow suit as it summons massive magic circles and begins bombarding the protagonist. He remembers going all out the last time he fought the calamity. But he knows everyone around him will die if he unleashes his full power. So he decides to hold back to avoid any collateral damage. The monster's attacks slam into him hard. Shido thinks he's been killed. But just as the attacks are about to hit the students, our hero pulls out his shields, firing off a volley of magic bullets to push back the monster army. Shido is in absolute shock, wondering who this guy even is. The news reporter realizes a single student is fighting the monsters alone. She decides to move in closer, since they can't make out his face. Suddenly, the camera explodes. Yuka smiles because she knows the protagonist was trying his best not to reveal his identity. She figures he can finally go all out without any distractions. As our hero shoots out a constant stream of magic bullets, the students finally see a glimmer of hope and start cheering for his victory. But a few magical beasts sneak up from behind, ready to attack the students, but Shido takes them out and decides to back up Kusanagi, since that's the only thing they can really do right now. Our boy cracks a smile as he sees them. The hardworking police, he gives them props, admitting they aren't as bad as he thought. He keeps firing off magic bullets. The demon captain just screams and summons multiple magic circles. It's going all out now, summoning 6th-level magic, which shocks Shido. He thinks they're doomed. That magic is on par with the nobles, and there's just no hope left for them. The demon captain uses 6th-level dragon flames, and the entire area is engulfed by fire. Everyone scrambles to safety as a huge tornado of fire slowly eats up the whole place. Shido tries to protect his partner, Sonata, but the other students are becoming hopeless, accepting that they are all about to die. Sonata prays to God for help, hoping at least the students can survive. Shido doubts any student, no matter how strong, could beat the demon captain. He doesn't believe Kusanagi stands a chance. But Yuka, she has complete faith in the protagonist. She believes in him completely. She just knows he is going to win. As the massive attack heads toward him, Kusanagi notices it's slow. He realizes it's because the demon captain is forcing itself to use 6th level magic. He admits there's no way he can face that with just 2nd level magic. So despite hating to stand out, he decides to use a little more power. Kusanagi summons 4 magic circles and unleashes the water attribute. Yuka just smiles and starts cheering him on. The water forms into a massive serpent, and Shido is amazed, wondering if it's synthesis magic. The water and fire attacks clash, with Kusanagi starting to overpower the demon captain. But the demon captain refuses to give up, pushing harder and yelling its desire to kill and destroy the entire human race. The fire magic gets stronger, but Kusanagi just adds a little more power. And after a short struggle, the demon captain realizes death is coming. The monster questions how it lost to a mere kid. Kusanagi calmly replies that it's because the demon captain lacked proper training. He was hoping for a better fight, but is disappointed to find it was weaker than expected. The sky finally clears. Kusanagi smiles, relieved that the calamity is over now that he's taken out the final boss. The students are in total shock, finding it hard to believe Kusanagi beat the demon captain. They all get up and start celebrating. Even the news reporter and cameraman join in, finally feeling safe. Sonata comforts a student, telling her it's safe now because the calamity is over. Shido stares at Kusanagi, calling it impossible. He can't understand how one student could stop the calamity alone. He doubts even the nobles could have defeated a demon captain using 6th level magic, and he wonders who Kusanagi really is. His legs then give out from the strain. Kusanagi finds Yuka and tells her that he's finished it. She smiles and says she always believed in him, thanking him. This brings a smile to his face. The students then surround him, praising him for what he did. They all try to show their gratitude, but an irritated Kusanagi tells them to back off. He regrets standing out like this. Just like in his past life, and hopes he won't have to live another annoying life from now on, Yuka notices how annoyed he looks. An announcement is made. The calamity at Kamui Magic Academy has been stopped. The academy refuses to give any details about the boy who defeated the boss monster all by himself. No casualties were reported, though several people were injured. Kusanaga's classmates show him the news. And he's clearly annoyed, but they just assume he's playing the part of the mighty savior. And then Kusanagi gets promoted to S-class, which makes his old classmates feel bad, realizing they can't just talk to him like they used to. A few of the girls ask him about the secret to his strength, guessing he must have inherited the blood of some great noble mage. An S-class student notices just how irritated Kusanagi looks by all the attention, doubting a student that strong could actually exist. Kusanaga's classmates defend him, confirming he really did defeat the demon captain all by himself. But the S-class student isn't convinced, thinking the story sounds fishy no matter how you look at it. Kusanagi uses the distraction to slip out of class, feeling relieved as he steps out. That's when Yuka finds him, asking if he's having a hard time with a mischievous grin. He's not in the mood to be teased, but she just keeps talking. She thinks it's perfectly natural, since he's the hero who protected the entire school. Kusanagi remembers that Yuka was also promoted to S-class as a result of her efforts during the attack, but she doesn't seem all that happy about it. When he asks, she says she's happy, but only because there's someone else in the S-class. Suddenly, Kusanagi remembers Ruka and asks if she's feeling any better. Yuka gives a positive answer and points out that they've been talking a lot more than before. Kusanagi thinks that's great, and Yuka is happy about it too. She thanks him for everything, truly grateful. Then out of nowhere, Kusanagi gives her a light pat on the head, which makes her blush and ask what's wrong with him. He just tells her he doesn't need her, thanking him over and over again. Once is enough. At that, Yuka starts to smile, At a conference, a man finishes his video call with other countries. They all know that getting any support for the next calamity will be nearly impossible since everyone is already overwhelmed with their own plans. One of them mentions the news about the student who defeated the boss monster. The others explain it was a bizarre situation where even the police department was completely wiped out. They assume it has to be a misunderstanding and expect other nations will be skeptical, too. The man orders his men to bring back the noble mages to prepare for the next disaster. Up on the school roof, Ruka and Katsuragi run into Kusanagi and Yuka. They all just stare at each other for a second. Ruka then says she has something she needs to ask Kusanagi. She wants him to make her his disciple. A few days later, Ruka sits down with her sister to have a talk. She recalls that the calamity was stopped by the protagonist. Her sister confirms it and reminds her that Kusanagi was the one who defeated the demon captain, using level 4 synthesis magic to do it. Ruka is stunned to hear this. She knows that even high-level mages are rarely capable of using such power. Yuka insists that she's telling the truth. And Ruka, trusting her little sister's word, decides to believe it and starts to smile. Yuka wonders why her older sister is so sure that she never lies. Ruka recalls that Yuka has always been a straightforward, obedient kid who was never dishonest, gentle, but also a very hard worker. She finally accepts that her little sister isn't talentless at all, admitting that she was the one being stubborn. Yuka realizes her sister is just worried about her and stands up with new determination, assuring her big sis that she's going to become incredibly strong. Strong to put her at ease so she can stop worrying about it for a bit. Ruka listens closely to her sister, realizing just how much she's grown up. Yuka hears the praise and can't stop smiling. Meanwhile, Ruka knows that no student can even touch Kusanagi, and she figures even her own father might be weaker than him. That's why she asks for Yuika's help, knowing that if she just goes with the flow, the best she'll ever be is a high-class mage. So she absolutely needs Kusanaga's help to truly get stronger. Back in the present, Ruka apologizes for her rudeness. She's genuinely sorry for looking down on them. She knows how absurd and selfish her request is, but even so, she's swallowing her pride to ask him directly. Ruka hopes he will make her his disciple. And our boy just agrees, which completely shocks her. He confirms he's willing to take her on, but she can't understand why he's being so nice about it. He calls her a weirdo for asking and then acting this way. She knows he's right, but she still doesn't get why he's being so kind, especially after the horrible way she treated him. He just makes it clear that he has already accepted her apology and forgiven her. And that's all there is to it. She's left completely speechless. Katsuragi sees his chance and makes the exact same request. Our protagonist agrees, figuring it's not much harder to teach two people, and the guy is thrilled to hear it. Yuka tells her big sister that her friend is just a really kind person. Katsuragi adds that he's mysterious, too. Later that day, our protagonist gets called into the conference room. A man named Shido introduces himself as part of the Metropolitan Police Department from the Beast Countermeasures Division. Sanada introduces herself, too. They both bow their heads in gratitude, admitting that without his help, the civilians and their own teammates would have been wiped out instantly. Kusanagi asks if they need something else and tells them they can stop thanking him since they've been repeating their thanks for a while now. He believes it's more than enough. Shido then tells him that the investigation is already finished, but something caught his attention during it. Kusanagi just wonders what it could be. Shido explains that he learned our boy got his magic powers after being involved in some kind of traffic accident. Apparently, his classmates and everyone around him are all saying the same thing, but one student claimed the protagonist became a completely different person after that car crash. Kusanagi stays silent, just listening to the report. Shido found that his personality changed completely. And out of nowhere, his magical abilities became incredibly powerful, too. so powerful that he could effortlessly defeat a demon captain. Yuka suddenly cuts in, telling him to stop, and asks what he's trying to get at. Shido just changes the question instead, asking if he knows anything about someone called the Black Magician. Our boy doesn't recognize the name. So the agent shows him a video and explains that the Black Magician is a mysterious figure who defeats magical beasts and cleans up the area, all while protecting people. He keeps his face hidden and only appears at night. Shido finds it strange he hasn't seen such a famous video. The protagonist finally understands what they're getting at. Yuka intervenes again and questions why he's telling Kusanagi all of this. Shido just answers with a smile, pointing out that they're both very similar, not just in age, but in size and height. Well, Shido knows the Black Magician is incredibly strong and capable. He doubts any student his age could possibly pull off those kinds of feats. The other strange detail is that the Black Magician only started operating at the exact same time our boy was discharged from the hospital. Zenzet. Completely illegal to use magic in the city without a proper permit or license. If a student gets caught, the academy is supposed to handle it. But this whole thing has gotten so much public attention lately that the police had no choice but to step in and get involved. Shido makes it clear that just getting expelled won't be the end of it. But if the protagonist confesses now, they're willing to go easy and reduce his punishment. So he needs to answer very carefully. Shido asks one last time if he is the Black Magician. Kusanagi says no, completely deadpan. Shido looks relieved and even cracks a smile, happy our boy isn't the Black Magician. The officer thanks him for his time and decides to leave. As Kusanagi leaves, Shido is stunned that the kid didn't even flinch. He admires his guts for lying so boldly if he really is the Black Magician. He admits Kusanagi is not a normal student and is certain that he's hiding something. Tsunade, on the other hand, already knows Kusanagi is the magician because their voices are so similar. She wonders if his motives were purely about saving people that night. So Tsunade decides to keep his secret, even though she knows it's a huge breach of her duties as a police officer. She just believes the protagonist is a good person. Shido decides to go all in on revealing the Black Magician's identity, while Sonata thinks about protecting him and helping the guy out in any way she can. Later on, the homeroom teacher of the S-class introduces Mizuhai Yuika and Kusanagi Minato to the class. She hopes that all the other students can get along with them. The other students immediately ask if he's the one who beat the demon captain. The girls ask Yuika what it's like being a noble mage. The teacher has to tell everyone to settle down because class is about to start. She's amazed at how famous the new students already are. Kusanagi gets bombarded with questions all day, and it's draining. He remembers this is the exact reason he wanted to keep his identity a secret. Just then, he hears someone call his name from behind. Our boy turns to find the girl he saved earlier standing right there. She asks if he has a moment to talk. Next thing you know, he's on the rooftop again, and he can't help but wonder if it's some kind of rule that every serious conversation has to happen on a rooftop. Unseen by them, Yuika follows him and spies on them from behind a wall. She was actually hoping to get in some private training and wonders what he's doing. She feels a little jealous seeing him alone with another girl and peeks around to see what's going on. The girl asks him if he still remembers her, but our boy says he doesn't. So she reminds him he's the one who saved her during the calamity, which finally jogs his memory. The girl recalls that she was about to be killed by magical beasts during a combat lesson. But then someone used magic to save her. She's convinced the one behind that magic attack was Kusanagi, too. He remembers, and she immediately starts thanking him for saving her life. He just shrugs it off, saying he only did what he could. She blushes and calls him cool, while Yuka tries her best to listen to what they're saying, but she can barely make out a single word. The girl then reveals her feelings, saying she's in love with our boy and hopes he'll go on a date with her. Yuka is stunned to hear her actually confessing her feelings. The protagonist, however, barely looks surprised. She admits she doesn't have many good qualities, but promises him she'll do her best, hoping he'll make her his girlfriend. Kusanagi just smiles and thanks the girl for the confession. She starts to light up, but then he keeps talking and says he's sorry. Her smile drops instantly. He politely tells her he doesn't have any time to start dating anyone, since he has to do something really important. She understands his reasoning and tries to smile again. She's glad he was straightforward with her and decides to give up on him. The girl leaves the rooftop with tears in her eyes. Kusanagi tells Yuka to stop hiding and just come out. She's been caught and appears with an awkward smile. She thought she hid her mana well this time and wonders how he noticed. He calls her mana control horrible, letting her know it is literally spilling out everywhere. This is the second time he's caught her sneaking around like that. He wonders if she has some kind of peeping fetish. Embarrassed, she says she just showed up at the wrong time and wasn't trying to listen in. Then she asks why he turned down such a cute and pretty girl. Kusanagi makes it clear he's not interested in dating anyone right now. She is surprised, but he feels the age gap is just too big, even though he is technically in the same school year as them. Yuka starts feeling happy when she learns he doesn't want to date anyone. But she has no idea why she feels so relieved to hear that he isn't planning on it. She just looks at him with a worried face. Kusanagi then tells her to start working on her mana control because it is absolutely awful. He thinks she needs a lot more practice. She assures him she knows, and becomes determined to train as hard as possible to get stronger, so that one day he might finally acknowledge her abilities. Later that night, our protagonist reaches another area that's filled with monsters. With their numbers growing, he wonders if a new calamity is about to appear. Suddenly, he hears a girl scream for help. A man is illegally using magic to harass a young woman. He tells her it's useless to scream since there is no one around to help. But Kusanagi steps in, proving there's still someone there. The thug is stunned, but our hero doesn't give him a second to react and lands a quick punch to his stomach. He then uses magic to knock the guy out. He can tell it's just an amateur mage and a thug whose close combat skills are terrible. He guesses the guy isn't used to fighting mages. The girl he rescued thanks him and asks if he's the legendary black mage. He just gets annoyed and leaves quickly, ignoring her. Kusanagi suddenly realizes the black mage all the students and the police were talking about was actually him the whole time. He has no idea how he got so famous. The next day, while he's eating with his friends, the protagonist brings up the black mage. He remembers Shuru mentioned an amateur mage who only appears at night. He's heard many people talking about it, so he's curious. Katsuragi guesses it's because the black mage has gotten really popular on the internet. Our hero then asks what the internet is. He has this clueless look, asking if it's some kind of fishing net. Everyone stares, totally shocked. They all wonder if he's crazy in this day and age. It's just unbelievable that someone doesn't even know what the internet is. They knew he lived under a rock, but this is way worse than they thought. Yuka steps in and explains that the internet is a huge information network. It's a network that stretches across the entire globe, where anyone can share anything. Because of it, news about the black mage spread like wildfire, plus people can find just about anything on there, since it has pictures and videos it basically holds. Everything. Kusanagi finally gets it, and Katsuragi helps him understand. He shows him how he can access all that information using his smartphone. He tells the boy to pull it out and try opening any random app. Katsuraga's face absolutely lights up, smiling uncontrollably as Kusanagi finally opens search engine. They all cheer for him, explaining he can use the internet to see anything he wants now. Our boy just calls it easy. Ruka then remembers his promise. She asks him when their training is actually going to begin. Kusanagi agrees to start training them after school, since they did help him learn how to use a Smartphone, he decides to do his best to train them well. Yuka, however, expects that something bad is about to happen, and sure enough, during their training all three of them collapse on the ground, completely exhausted. Kusanagi looks disappointed since they haven't even finished the warm-up yet. He tells them to train like their lives depend on it. They struggle back to their feet, promising they won't go down so easily this time. He's glad to hear it and orders them to come at him with everything they've got. They summon their magic circles and follow his orders. Meanwhile, somewhere else, near Tokyo Tower, a couple of men recall how normal everything was just seconds ago. As they stare up at the blood-red sky, they're both completely terrified. They wonder what is happening. A massive army of monsters appears, filled with demons.